both.
Hello, everybody. This is Meredith and Georgiana from Creativity for Kids, and today we are going to make a colorful pom-pom hat using our quick knit loom kits. So, Miss Meredith, take it away.
Yay! Thank you, Georgiana, and thank you all for being here today. As we said, we're using our quick knit loom to create this awesome rainbow pom-pom hat. And I don't know if anyone out there has ever used our quick knit loom before, but it's super easy and it goes super fast. And I'm so happy to be showing you guys how to do it today. So if you have used a quick knit loom like this, please go ahead and let us know what you made. Did you make a hat? Did you make a little cup cozy? Or what did you make? So I'm very curious to see if anyone else has used this before. So while I open up the box, go ahead and type in if you have used it before. All right. Hi. I see a hi out there. We made a hat. Good. Okay, cool. Yeah, so I have crocheted before. I have not really had success knitting before a loom like this. So I'm so happy that something like this exists because it is very quick once you get the hang of it. So in our kit, what you get are 2 nice size amounts of yarn, our handy dandy instructions. In here are these beautiful rainbow pom-poms, fuzzy pom-poms. Who doesn't like fuzzy pom-poms? Fuzzy pom-poms, so fun. And you'll see these fuzzy pom-poms have this cool little loopy-doop here, which makes it super simple to put onto your hat. And you're given 2 of them. So if you don't want to do a single beanie like this, you could do a happy fun bun beanie with 2 little balls like that. Here's our loom. In here, you have your tool for your loom. It's like a hook. Oh, here. Opens up just like this. So here's our hook that you'll be using with the loom. Here's our little plastic needle, which will be handy for when we're removing our hat from the loom, or if you're going to be sewing your sweet little felt heart onto your hat or onto your cup cozy, depending on what you're making. In this kit, you're given instructions to make a cup cozy or the hat. But as Georgiana said, we're going to be doing the hat today. And these are little needle threaders. So they're very helpful in threading your yarn through the needle. So we'll put those up there so they don't get lost. And that, and here. All right, so let's see what we do first. Getting to know your loom and your tools. So this is our large round loom. So why it says large is because these actually come in different sizes. So we have the large one because it's best for the hat. On your loom, and we're just going to go over this terminology because it'll be easier when I'm trying to instruct what these things are called. So these are called pegs. These things that go uppy downy, these are pegs. And so this is a peg knob, the upper part. Here's the base, peg shaft. It's kind of indented in the peg, and that's called the shaft. Here on your base is the anchor. And this is the anchor peg that we'll be using right away. And that's it. So let's go. Do we have any questions so far?
Nope, but well, we do have somebody interested on making a scarf. So maybe at the end of class, you can kind of describe how you would do that.
Yes, and the scarf would be very simple, similar to how we do the cup cozy. So yes, if we have time, we'll get to that. So good question. Thank you, Georgiana.
No problem.
All right, so first things first, we're gonna tie your yarn onto the anchor peg, leaving a short tail. So let's find our yarn here. So there's this magical thing that happens every now and then with a thing of yarn. Like you can dig your finger into the tip of it, and sometimes you find the end of the yarn. Oh my gosh, it's a good day. I just did it. Okay, so you kind of like dig your finger into the middle of the yarn down in here. And sometimes, if you're lucky, you're able to just pull out the yarn from the inside. And why that's awesome is because if you can't find this end of the yarn, you can always just start your yarn from the outside. But as you can see, it winds and winds and winds rather than just pulling out from the inside. So that's why I'm so excited. It's just a little victory. Anyway, we're going to tie this end to our anchor. And the way I do that, I make a loopy-doop around my finger, put the end through it, you know, just like a simple little, it's not really a knot, but just simply tying a loop onto your anchor. And like it said in the instructions, we're leaving this much of a tail, not much of a tail, you don't need much. All right. So now what you're going to do, you're going to wrap the yarn around the pegs as shown. So here's the instruction. And in our instructions, you can see the yarn goes behind the peg and then in front of the peg. So you go behind the peg and you wrap it, go behind the next peg and wrap it, go behind the next peg and wrap it. And you do that all the way around your pegs. So I'll show you what that looks like in person. So you're going to go behind your peg, around the front, behind the next peg, around the front, behind the next peg, around the front. So you just keep doing that all the way around. So, and while you're doing this, you don't want to do it that tight because we're going to end up removing the yarn using that little hook tool. So this becomes really natural once you do it a couple times. But the thing to look out for is when you're wrapping, if you don't use your finger or your thumb to kind of hold what you just wrapped. So like I just wrapped this one here. I'm going to hold it with my thumb so it does, so all of these don't come unwrapped. Because that happens. And when it happens, it kind of is like, gosh darn it. So in order to prevent that from happening, you kind of figure it out that you need to hold that yarn on the peg and then just keep going. So I'm hoping everybody is following this. And I like to call this the carousel or Ferris wheel technique. This is the Ferris wheel technique where your loom is like uppy downy like this, like a Ferris wheel, rather than like a carousel. So Ferris wheel is easier for me, especially showing you guys on the camera like this. And if you're doing it at home, it's kind of easier to hold it like this. You might even hold it like between your legs with your knees or something and just like, you know, be able to roll it around like that. So now I'm back to the last peg. Once you get to the last peg, you're going to start again. So you're going to kind of shush all of your yarn down to make room for a second row. So you're just going to keep going. And Again, you want to make sure that your yarn doesn't come off, so hold it on there with your little thumb or your little finger and just keep going. So you're going to have 2 full rows on your pegs. And once you get this, it's like easy breezy. You're gonna be making hats left and right because it's so easy. So if your yarn does unravel off of your pegs, it's okay. It happens. You just have to rewind them. You just have to redo all the yarn on the pegs. And you might be sad for a minute, but don't worry, it's worth it because your rainbow hat will be adorable. All right, so now we're back to the last peg again. This is our last peg. And you know it's the last peg because this is where we started, at the anchor. So in order to hold all of our hard work onto our pegs, we're going to go to the last peg and we're going to use our tool, slip it under that first row, that first, the lower of the 2 pieces of yarn. We're going to slip it under and pull that piece of yarn over top the one that we just put on there. And now I can like let go of the yarn and all of my little loopies are going to stay on. So that's it. So now that you have that, you're going to do the same for all of the pegs. So you're going to take the piece of yarn that's closest to the base. You're going to hook it with your little hook tool and you're going to bring it over the top piece of yarn and over the peg, all the way over the peg. So you just do that all the way around your loom, removing that first layer of yarn over the second layer. And you just go, go, go. And this is how you use the Quick Knit Loom. So it's super simple. It becomes very meditative because, like I said, once you get the hang of it, it's kind of like super duper easy. You don't have to think about it that much. You just go. And it just magically weaves, like it magically knits. Like this is knitting. I can't believe this is knitting, but this is knitting. It's a different type of knitting than with the 2 needles, but this is a quick knit loom. So you're using this loom to knit a hat. So that's why I love it. Here we go. Just a little bit longer. Few more little pegs. And then guess what we're gonna do when we get to the last peg? Yep. If you thought you're gonna put more yarn on your pegs, you are correct. That is what we're gonna do. Do, 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 do. All right, so we got 1 whole row done. Yay! All right, so just go around, push all of your yarn down towards the base. Ferris wheeling around our loom. That is so fun. Anytime I can think of an amusement park, that brings me joy. Okay, so we start again. Here's our anchor peg. Here's our first peg. And you go behind the first peg and around, behind the second and around. And again, you want to keep it just tight enough to stay on your pegs because if you do it too tight, it's going to be harder to move your yarn over and off the peg. So around, around, around. And while you're quick knit looming, quick knitting, quick knit looming, quick knitting, words.
All of the above is an option.
You can be listening to the music and singing your favorite songs, or maybe you have the TV on in the background, watching some fun holiday movies or whatever it is that you want to be doing. But as I mentioned, it just gets into this meditative feel because it doesn't take that much concentration. You can kind of relax a bit and just knit your favorite aunt a hat, or maybe it's for yourself or for your dog. I don't know, maybe that would be so cute. Although you'd have to leave room for their ears. Oh, I don't know how that would work.
Or it'd be nice to make one and donate it.
Yes, that's a very good idea. Totally. So I think over the years, I've probably made about 10 hats, but I do know coworkers who have made lots and lots and lots more hats. So we do include this beautiful rainbow yarn, but like my coworker, after she was done with this yarn, she used red and she created these cute little like Santa hats for people. But you could use blue and green and whatever colors suits you. So that's another great thing about this kit is you can use this loom over and over again. Okay, we just finished that one. Push it all down. Does anyone have any questions about the steps we've already done? No? Okay, very good. So we'll go again. I think I'll do one more round and then I'll show you what to do if you run out of yarn, how to tie some more yarn onto your yarn if you run out. So like if you are making a long scarf on here, or if you're making a super giant hat, like a really long hat, or if you're using the rainbow yarn, like if you've already made a hat and then you're like, oh my God, I want to make another hat, but I don't have any more rainbow yarn, but I do have purple yarn. How to tie on that purple yarn. So here we go. And again, we're at the last one, so that's where we start in order to keep our yarn from unraveling. So if you and your friends have the Quick Knit Loom, this would be really fun to do as a group project because you can chit chat and knit at the same time with your friends and kind of compare what you've made. Kind of like a knitting circle, but quick knitting circle. Oh, I wonder if you can make mittens. I think you can make mittens using possibly a smaller loom.
I was thinking socks.
Yeah. Aw.
These might be a little too big of socks, but a little loom.
Yep. Yep.
I think it would be so fun if each one of your friends then brought their own color of yarn. And then you can do a couple rows of your color and a couple rows of your friend, and then your other friend.
It's a friendship hat.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a cute idea. Georgiana is full of good ideas all of the time.
Well, sometimes.
Love it. Love it. Okay. So I'm going to pretend. So I'm going to wrap and pretend that I have that I need to add more yarn on. So what I'm going to do, put that down, wrap, 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 and I'm going to cut it like, oh my gosh, I'm out of yarn. What do I do? Well, you're going to put your loom down for a second. Grab your new yarn and the end of your old yarn, and you're just going to tie it together. And you're going to knot it so it doesn't come undone. So you're going to have something like this going on. And you just want to pull it super tight so it doesn't come undone. And you can make these a little bit shorter because you're going to end up putting the ends, kind of like shoving them into your hat so you won't see it. Bless you.
Thank you.
Now, as I did that, so that's as easy as that is. So if you wanted to add purple yarn or blue or whatever, a different color onto your rainbow yarn, then that's how you do it. You just tie it on like that. So as I was doing that, my loops did come off of my pegs because, you know, I wasn't holding them on. So if you foresee your yarn running out before you're able to do a full circle, maybe just stop at the end, at the last one that you did, and then tie on your new yarn, and then you just keep going. So when we get to that knot, it'll be a little weird for a minute or two, or until, you know, you go all the way around. But it really is not that big a deal in your finished product. And I do have our hat next to me here. I'm not sure if we ran out of yarn within it, but I can look inside the hat and see if we did, in fact, run out of yarn. So here we go. Oh, did you find? Okay. So I'll show you when we get to the knot. There's it. It's right here. So when we get up there, I'll show you that it really isn't a big deal.
So
You
we
just do that.
do have a question.
What's up?
And I don't know if you've ever done this.
Yeah.
But can you double the loop on the peg? So go around what I'm assuming and wrap it twice and then pull your bottom loop over 2 loops.
You know, I don't know if I have done that before, but in crochet, that's like a double crochet.
Yep.
Or is it a single crochet? Because there's the chain and then there's the single, but I can try it and we can see what that looks like.
That's a great question.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think if that does work like that, it might create a different look for sure.
Yeah.
So right now in our hat, you'll see it kind of just looks like a bunch of V's that create the patterns. Yeah. And so with this, with doubling it, we can see what that looks like.
We got some creative minds out
I
there.
love it. Yay. Thank you for being here and asking that question. So to show you what I'm talking about, it kind of looks like these are like a bunch of V's. So let's do, so we're going to go around twice. We're not going to, so to the question, we're going to go around twice like this.
I'm thinking you're
Or
gonna
maybe
have to
we go once and then twice.
Yep.
Yeah. So we'll go all the way around.
It's really gonna be like a real Ferris wheel now.
Right? Yeah.
You get to roll it around.
Along the right is, yep. Yep.
Oh,
And
We're so close to the amusement park capital of the world.
Yeah. Oh my God, I went for Halloween weekends.
Mhm.
Oh, so much fun. I love going to Cedar Point. It's so fun. And okay, so we're almost done with the one. We'll put on another one. So here's the start of the second one. So having 3 loops on your peg is a lot. It kind of fills up your peg, but that's okay. I'm so curious to see what this is going to look like. And do 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 do. Almost there. One more peg or 2 or 3. Okay, 4.
Can't count.
There's 4. All right, so this is our last peg. This is our first one. So we're reaching all the way down here and bringing it over the 2. Okay, so now we have 2 on here. So we're going to do that for all of them. And to really see what it looks like, we're going to have to do at least one more row. Or are we? Because there will still be 2 on here. So I could actually just go around.
Wrap it.
Well, without
yeah.
wrapping it, I could just go around and remove the second one, the middle one.
Oh, there's so many ideas.
I know.
Now I want to know what happens if you like skip a peg and then do every other peg. Oh.
Oh boy. Now we're creating different patterns. You're gonna get a checkerboard. Yeah. A different type of look for sure. Herringbone.
Yeah, you kind of would be like that. And then if you switch colors.
Mm.
There it is. I think you're on.
Interesting.
You have 2 yarns and put like on opposite pegs. Like a black and then a white on like the even number.
Ah.
Now
This
black
is
and white is
advanced.
not fun colors.
Yeah, but it would be like
It would
a checkerboard.
Right.
It could be. All right.
So needless to say, somebody who has the kit needs to try.
Yes.
And then post it on social media so we can see.
Yes. Someone needs to try this. Because I don't think we'll have enough time to do all of these different techniques. But I love the creative thinking. The what if. I love the what if. What if you blah, 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 blah. There you go. And 2 more. 1 and 2. Okay. So let's see if we can see what it might look like underneath. Now it still looks like a V, which is fine. We're at the point now where I can undo the anchor peg yarn. So why I'm saying that is because you can see the yarn is being pulled this way a little bit, which means that if I don't release this, this will stay a little bit taut. And we want it to be kind of like even pressure or even wove throughout the hat. So I'm going to undo this, and don't worry, it won't come undone. It just relieves that little bit of stress right there. All right, so now here's the big question. Do we do another round, or do we just remove the first row to the second row? What do you think?
I say you do another round.
Okay.
But that is just my opinion.
I'm thinking we need to in order
Yeah.
to see what that pattern might look like. Otherwise, it might just look similar to what we've been doing with the single round.
Mhm. So much creativity.
I know. Feel like I want to eat a donut for some reason to celebrate this creative thinking. One of
Is
those
the donut
maple
because
ones.
of the wheel?
Maybe it could be a subconscious type thing. I don't know. Like back of mind.
Yeah, I was thinking more pie. The pegs remind me of like
The crust.
The crust,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Donut just jumped in my head.
Well, I did have apple pie last night. So.
Oh, there you go. Oh, I had this amazing maple butter pecan cake. It's like a cake from Costco. Oh, it's so good. They're really good. Got like a layer of crunch. It's too much.
And you did not bring it into the office.
No, because we ate it all.
No.
We shared it with my family over the weekend and then we ate the rest of it. All right, so here we go. Bottom one over the two top ones. Ugh. And this here shows how important it is to keep it a little bit loose because it can get very difficult moving that yarn over everything if it's too tight. So even as I'm doing this, I think I'm pulling the yarn a little bit tight in order to get it over both layers of yarn and the top of the peg. So it is easier to do it just the one row over the second row rather than one row over two rows. But I am so curious to see what it looks like. So for our friends out there who have used the Quick Knit Loom before and made their own hat, did you use the rainbow yarn or what color yarn did you use? And were you happy with the hat that you made? You can write in and let us know. Okay, we're almost there. We made blue ones for Hat Not Hate. Oh, yay! Hat Not Hate, that was great. That was such a fun organization to work with. That was really cool. Yeah, so I made a blue one for that as well. And it came with a fun little tag that you could sew on. Oh, and Cindy, she used rainbow yarn, which was so fun. Oh, orange pumpkins. That's so cool. I love that idea. That is super cute. Almost. My fingers are getting tired. For pulling it over this amount of yarn. It is tighter, that's for sure.
Well, at least this is a good craft where you can remember where you left off.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's a really good point.
All the other pegs, if half the pegs have 2 loops and half the pegs have 3 loops, well,
You know where you left off, right? Okay. So looking here, it looks similar, just a little bit different. So I'm going to go ahead and just go with the instead of adding another round, I'm going to just pull the bottom one over the top one like we were doing before and just see how that looks. but I have a feeling it is going to look the same, maybe a little bit more concentrated, like not as much space in between the V's, which is kind of what it's looking like right now. So when you're doing this in the instructions, you'll see you keep going and going and going until you get, I think it's 8 inches. Let's see. Says continue. Uh-oh. Okay, so this happens sometimes. When the entire thing comes off of your peg, you want to grab that loop and just put it back on. And it's easier to just grab it with your hook and put it back on with your finger. So grab the center of it and then just put it back on. But that happens too. It's an easy fix. Nothing to worry about. And you want to make sure you're just in a comfortable position so you can do this for as long as you want. No stress, no worries. Just knitting, just playing with yarn, making something that you can wear, something functional. All right, we're over halfway done. And 1, 2, 3, 4 more. That one's really tight. Yeah, sometimes you gotta just use your fingers. And one more. Okay, so I'm gonna push them all down and then hold up what our weave looks like right now. And it's hard to really see a difference, but it's also like a V, but the two layers are just closer to each other. So that's a fun thing you can experiment with when you're doing your hat. So if you want to check it out, you would do that and maybe just continue on with the single row going over the second row, and then maybe do the double again and just see what kind of pattern that makes. So that would be really neat to find out. So as I was saying, we recommend going, I believe it's 8 inches. It should say here 8.5 inches. So under finishing your hat, it says stop knitting when your hat is around 8.5 inches long. And there should be 1 row of loops left on the pegs. So at the bottom of our instructions, we have a measuring tool that's 15 inches. So how we measure 8.5 is just by holding up what you've already woven with your loom and seeing, like, I can tell I've only gone maybe 2 inches with this. So you just hold up the end of of what you've woven to the beginning of the measuring tool and kind of guesstimating how many lines over you've gone. So like that would be 2 inches. So we would need to keep going and keep going and keep going until we got to 8.5. So I've done that beforehand because it does take some time. So you can see how long this one is. So we are at, say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're at about 9 inches with this. So I'm going to show you now how to take your weaving off of your loom when you get to your finished length. So as I said, you stop knitting when your hat is at 8.5. We're at 9. There should be 1 row of loops on your pegs, so we're there. Measure 45 inches extra inches of yarn and then cut. So we're going to measure using this measuring tool at the bottom here, 45. So we're at, this is 15 plus another 15 is 30. Plus another 15 is 45. And cut. And we'll put that yarn to the side. So now what we're going to do is sew the yarn through our first loop, pulling it all the way through, and then going around to each one of our loops. In order to get our yarn onto the needle though, we've included the needle threader like I mentioned earlier. It makes it super easy. So here's our needle threader. You're just going to put your yarn through your needle threader like that. So it's hanging like that. And then your needle threader through your needle. And just pull your yarn through. Ta-da! Makes it super duper easy to thread a needle. All right, so we're going to go from the bottom of the peg up the loop and pull the yarn through. Same with the next one. So it's kind of like a whip stitch for all of you people who know how to sew out there. That's what this is called. Or that is what this is like. You're just kind of going loopy, 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 loopy. So you go from the bottom up the peg and pull the yarn through. So it looks like this. Here's our loops and here's our yarn that's going through. So this is, I think this is called casting off of your loom. And you'll find if you do use different yarn, different widths of yarn take longer or shorter amounts of time. Nope, I kind of split the yarn there. Got to go back in. Longer or shorter amounts of time to weave or to knit on this loom. So like a thicker yarn, it will take you quicker to get to 8.5. A thinner yarn, it might take you a little bit longer to get to 8.5 inches of weaving. Oops. Somehow. Oh, I got stuck. I got stuck on my own loom. That's okay. Oh yeah, again. Yep.
It just doesn't want to come off.
No.
You just gotta wear the Loom with it.
That's a fun looking hat.
That would be kind of like a brim of a baseball.
Yep, kind of Dr. Seussy.
A little bit.
Very creative and uncomfortable. Yeah, so when you're pulling your yarn, make sure that it isn't stuck on a peg, or else that will not let you pull your yarn all the way through. And you may or may not have noticed, but as I've been sewing this yarn through the loops, some of the loops have come off the pegs, and that's okay. Don't worry about it because we're going to end up taking them all off the pegs anyway. And of course, if you wanted a larger hat, like a longer hat, you would go beyond 8.5 or 9 inches. You'd just keep weaving. But you'll see what our 9-inch weave looks like, or how big it is. And we're there. Okay, so what does it say next? Sew the yarn through the first loop as shown, pulling all the way through. Continue on to the second and so on until you have gone all the way around the loom. Sew through the first loop one more time. So where's our first loop? Right here. Okay. Remove your piece from the loom and turn it inside out. So this is the scary part where you're like, oh my goodness, I hope I sewed through everything just so all of my hard work doesn't go and unravel this wonderful hat that I'm making. So your first hat, you might be a little nervous, but you have to trust in the process. Got it? Okay, we'll put our loom over there, and it said turn it inside out. Okay. Now I still have my yarn on my needle. Pull the yarn you just sewed until your knitted piece is completely closed. So we're gonna pull. This is the fun part. It's closing up the hole. So you're gonna keep pulling it until it's completely closed. Unless you want to leave a little hole in here for your ponytail to come out. If you have ponytails. If you wear ponytails. All right, so I think, yep, it's all the way closed. Use the needle to sew the hole shut. Tie a knot to close. All right, so I'm going to, right here is where our yarn, our pulling yarn meets our loops. So I'm going to go kind of directly across the hat and sew through a couple loops over there. And then I'm going to do the same where I'm going to kind of create a diagonal stitch. And one more just across again. And we're basically just trying to keep the hat closed. All right. So we're going to tie a knot. So I didn't pull this one all the way through, so I can now feed my yarn through in order to tie a knot. And pull. So it should be pretty good. I think it's good. Yeah, just kind of pull and tug at it just to make sure that your yarn is not moving anywhere. And my yarn is not moving anywhere, so we're good. So we'll just go ahead and cut that off. All right, so we're going to turn it inside out again. Ta-da! So this is the V look that I thought is so cool looking. Here's where we tied in a piece of yarn. So remember how I showed you like that little tail? Well, you can just use like your finger or like a pencil, something to just poke that end into the inside of the hat so you don't even see it now. And we'll just double check that there aren't any more. Well, actually up here, there's another piece. So I'm just gonna push that into the inside of the hat. And here, this is our little tail. So I'm going to put that, kind of just shove it so it's also hidden into the hat. Just like that. So here's our little beanie. Now it's up to you if you want to have two happy little fun pom-poms or just one pom-pom. I'm going to show you one pom-pom because it'll be the same process for adding a second pom-pom. So it says, lay your hat flat and decide where you'd like your pom-pom. So I want my pom-pom at the top of my hat. Measure 15 inches of yarn, thread it through your needle and even out the ends so the needle is in the middle. Sew through the inside of the hat where you want your first pom-pom. So let's see. We're actually over 15 inches, but I already have this on my needle, so I'm just going to keep it on there. So we're going to make sure our needle is at the halfway of our yarn. That. And thread it through your needle and even So thread through the inside of the hat where you want your pom-pom. So I'm going inside my hat. Here's my needle going inside my hat and poking it through the top. Just like that. And we're going to put it through the two loops on the pom-pom. So here's our two loops on our pom-pom. So you're going to put the needle through those two loops. So now your pom-pom is just like this on your hat. Here's our, I don't know, there you can see right there. Thread the needle through the two loops on the pom-pom and back into the hat. So we're going back into the hat where we came from. And pull. Cut the needle from the yarn and double knot the 4 loose ends of yarn together inside the hat, making sure your pom-pom is secure. So I'm going to cut our needle off. Here's our 2, and here's our 2. I'm going to just tie these together. And one more just to double knot it like that. And we're good. So now you can trim these and trim these. And you have this sweet pom-pom hat. Now you can see it kind of rolls up at the bottom. That's just the nature of this yarn. So if we can have a forward facing, you can see what it looks like. Yay! Perfect. So it stretches a little bit. So you could unroll it down or roll it back up a little bit like that. So it's adorable. I love it. And you guys all got to see how easy and fun that was to do. So thank you everybody for joining us. This will be put up on Michael's website, so you can watch it again if you have any questions or need to see anything over again. But I really am so happy you were able to join us, and I look forward to the next time that you can be with Creativity for Kids for our Michael's classes. Have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.